morning, friends and enemies. We are back to recap every game from week 7. Tell y'all what you need to know about fantasy football, go through injuries, go through snap counts, go through the good, the bad, and the fugly. Start with Thursday Night Football. Cincinnati Bengals beat the Steelers 33-31 in what was, I would say, the most entertaining game of the week. But, I mean, last night we had some fucking haymakers. Joe Flacco, man, he's the fucking man. He's sick. And Mike Tomlin came out and he was like, why the fuck would you give an interdivision rival a quarterback? A team that doesn't have a quarterback right now. And he could not have been more spot on because Joe Flacco was the reason they won this game here. 342, 3 touchdowns through the air. The Steelers defense is clearly a very, very weak point for him right now. Jamar Chase, goated, 16 for 161 and a touchdown, just setting records left and right, 23 targets. T. Higgins. Having Joe Flacco there is obviously just a huge upgrade to everybody from a fantasy perspective that you were starting. Chase Brown had his best game of the season, 11 for 108. No scores, and wasn't really involved in the passing game. I will say this doesn't make me like super optimistic about Chase Brown. I think the lines looked a little bit better. I think he looked a little bit more explosive, but you can even tell when he was breaking some of the runs, he was like so surprised that he had room to run that like it turned into, I don't know, a weird play in my opinion. But regardless, he only had 11 carries in this one, and he's not going to have fucking 10 yards per carry. So Chase Brown to me is still someone that you can like consider as a flex option. He's definitely not someone I'm like looking at as a locked and loaded RB2 right now. Although this upcoming week, we do have a shitload of buys. Let me pull up the schedule real quick just to get us off on the right foot here. Week 8 will be the most buy-loaded week that we've had of the season, I believe, so far. Week 8, you've got Arizona on bye. You've got Detroit on bye. You've got Jacksonville on bye. Las Vegas, the Rams, and Seattle. So, obviously, a ton of fantasy players on bye. So, a lot of the players that we talk about, if I'm like, oh, Chase Brown's not really an RB2, next week he's going to be an RB2 because so many players are missing from the player pool that you can actually have in your lineups. So Jamar Chase, again, with the legendary day. I mean, right now he's actually back. He's the number 1 overall wide receiver again in fantasy football and PPR overall. Points per game, Puka still has him, but Puka's injured right now. So time don't wait for anybody. What's crazy about this game too, Jamar Chase left some like a decent amount of points on the field. Could have broke a couple on like screen passes, dropped a couple passes, bobbled them out of bounds. Like he really could have went like 20 for 250 and 2 touchdowns. It really could have been an all-time game, but still sick game, obviously. On the flip side, not a ton to take away. Jaylen Warren's first game back. I will say, like, it's so funny how, all right, so we entered the year and we're like, oh, I think it's going to be a split backfield, kind of like Jaylen Warren's probably the 1A, Kenneth Gainwell kind of like the 1B. And then within like a week or two, everyone, including everyone in the Steelers organization, was like, yeah, Warren's way better than Kenneth Gainwell. He's going to get the majority of work going forward. And that happened within like 1 week, 2 weeks. We realized that immediately. Kenneth Gainwell had the big game with Warren out, and then everyone's like, yep, it's back to being a split backfield again. 1A, 1B. They're going to split carries and touches down the middle. And then it's like, why would that happen? We just went through this 3 weeks ago. Like, they entered the year as a 1A, 1B, and then within 5 seconds, we realized Warren was way better than Kenneth Gainwell. And the same exact thing happened again. So Warren is just a talent that Kenneth Gainwell will never get to, and it's not going to happen this year. So Jaylen Warren right back to being a rock solid RB2 in this one. 16 for 127 on the ground, 4 for 31 through the air. Caleb Johnson, people were talking about how he might get more touches. I think that was there had a little bit of basis there based on the previous game where he got 6 carries, but he did not get a single touch in this one. So Warren, I feel great about going forward. For the Steelers, I mean, Metcalf started off on fire and then kind of just like cooled out despite Aaron Rodgers, connecting on a bunch of deep passes. A lot of love for the tight ends in this one. I still think that's such a shaky situation that you're never really going to be able to figure out between Pat, DK, Jaylen Warren. Like if we look at the snap split ups between the backfield, let's look at week 7 here. Jaylen Warren, 67% to 37% of the snaps. Inside the 5 guy, it's all Jaylen Warren there. When we look at the tight ends, I mean, this is what makes it impossible. They play 12 personnel so often because their wide receivers are terrible behind DK. 71% of the routes for Pat, 80% for Jonnu, 46% for Darnell Washington. On a week-to-week basis, I mean, we're not getting 4 touchdowns out of Aaron Rodgers. So none of these guys to me are going to crack the top 15 on a weekly basis, I don't think. Moving to the London game, and my God, in your idiot league mates, I had 3 guys going in this game, which made me want to vomit. It was Trevor Lawrence, Brian Thomas Jr., and then Matthew Stafford. So every time I wanted to vomit watching the Jaguars run plays on offense, it was offset by Matthew Stafford throwing a touchdown every 5 seconds. So I will say he saved my life on Sunday morning. So shout out to Matthew Stafford. The Fray literally made the song about him. Stafford, 5 touchdowns, 182 passing yards. Devontae Adams, 3 touchdowns. I mean, they just did whatever they wanted in this game. Stafford was a little bit erratic throwing the ball. He overthrew a bunch of receivers, but didn't really matter because Jacksonville was fucking terrible on both sides of the ball, at least in the first half. And they just got ahead big and, just kind of played however they wanted to. Kyren Williams split carries with Blake Corum, 12-12. I think a little bit of that was game script. I think a little bit of that was just like, it's raining. It's London. We're up 28 points. Like, we don't need to overwork Kyren Williams right now. So not something I'm going to look into and concern myself with really going forward. Kyren Williams has just been the staple of this offense. 60% of the snaps to 34% for Blake Corum. Just so happened that, when Blake Corum was in the game, he just got a lot of carries, whereas Stafford was dropping back to throw the ball a lot. So not concerned with him. They have their bye in week 8. So after that, Puka is expected to return from the bye. And then again, you're back to starting Puka. You're back to starting Devontae Adams. You're back to starting Kyren Williams. And that's really it. On the flip side, I don't even know where to start with Jacksonville. I genuinely don't know where to start. It's like the ping pong effect of watching them is like every play you have a new person to blame for why they fucking stink. It's like one play, it'll be like Trevor Lawrence holding onto the ball for 12 seconds. The next play, it'll be Brian Thomas Jr. just dropping a fucking layup pass over the middle. The next play, it'll be Parker Washington dropping a pass over the middle. The next play, it'll be an offensive lineman false starting when it's like fucking 3rd and 1. It's just every single play, they're just not a very well-coached team. I think their scheme is good, but I don't think like Liam Cohen has them fucking ready to play usually. And it's so evident on every pass. Like, one of their screen game is so inconsistent. They have games where it looks unstoppable, and it's like such a heavy part of their game plan. And then on Sunday morning when you were watching them, I legitimately, I think I tweeted this out, I think they went 0-14 on screen passes. Like, they didn't have a single successful screen pass in this game, which is going to destroy their offense. Like, that's what a lot of their bread and butter is, and that's what a lot of what Liam Cohen did last year in Tampa Bay, and one of the reasons they had so much success, but was not working. Their run game's not really working very well. I will say this is one of those games where, like, I went into the game having very low expectations. Jacksonville in London, rainy game, shitty weather. Like, that's a recipe for disaster. So I don't want to like overemphasize how bad they looked in this one. Trevor Lawrence ended up getting home for fantasy because he dropped back 48 times and was passing the ball the entire second half. So, that was another reason why I didn't completely throw myself off the roof. But receivers, we do have some shit to talk about here. De'Ami Brown left, he got hurt. Brian Thomas Jr., I don't know what's going on with him because he landed on his shoulder in the second half at one point, and it looked like he was injured. He left the field, but then came back and played pretty much the remainder of the game until like one of the final plays. He was like barely touched by a cornerback, and his arm just went like completely limp. So it seemed to be like a carryover of whatever happened like a quarter before that. We have no concrete news. I'm assuming he'll get an MRI today, and we'll have some more news on the extent of his injury. I can't even really begin to speculate, but they do have their bye in week 8. So unless this is an overly serious injury where he like needs to go on the IR, I mean, there's a chance that we do see him back after the bye in week 9, and they play the Raiders, who just got absolutely tossed by Kansas City. So better days ahead. But yeah, I mean, the Brian Thomas Jr. experiment is really hard to like figure out what the fuck's going on. He is just dropping passes on the outside. He is, just dropping balls over the middle almost every single fucking game. He's still scared of getting hit over the middle. I feel bad for Trevor Lawrence at points. Like, he does things really poorly at some points, but his receivers have some of the most brutal fucking drops ever. Like, the Parker Washington drop was legit. Like, I mean, he hit him straight in his fucking face mask. Like, he might have broke his fucking nose on that play, the way the actual point of the football went into his face mask. Like, you just can't. Someone needs to make a play for this man. He's not totally blameless, obviously. Like, he played a poor game, but like I said, I mean, every play, it's like a new, oh, this is the guy who's losing us the game. And when you have 15 of those plays, there's just no prayer for you to win a game. I mean, we have to obviously talk about Travis Hunter here. First real breakout game at the receiver position, 14 targets, 8 catches, 101, and a touchdown. You know, heavy dosage of that came, obviously, in catch-up time. Had the big touchdown at the end of the game there to get in for his first one. It's weird, man, because, like, the problem with Travis Hunter in fantasy right now is Travis Hunter is almost exactly who the Jaguars drafted him to be. Like, yeah, we want him to be a full-time receiver, but he's also easily their best cornerback, too. Like, we saw that on the play against Davante Adams. He's their best cover cornerback, but they're not, like, playing him enough on defense to warrant him not being on the field all the time as a receiver. He's easily, without a doubt, a top 2 receiver on their team and possibly number 1 if he continues to play like this. But they only use him in 3 wide receiver sets, and then they use him, like, inadvertently, or, you know, just in what the fuck's the word I'm looking for? They use him intermittently at the cornerback position, but they don't put him in, like, when they're on the goal line, when Davante Adams is running these fucking fades in the corner of the end zone and it's working every single time. Like, they don't put him in for those plays, but they'll put him in for random plays throughout the game, and he'll be their best cover cornerback. So it's like, you want him to play full-time wide receiver, but he really should be playing full-time cornerback too, because he's awesome there. So I don't really know what to expect going forward. Like, obviously, this is nice for him to have the breakout game, but if after week 9 or after week 8, the bye happens and we come back and Brian Thomas Jr. is playing and De'Ami Brown is playing, like, I don't know that I feel super confident that we're going to get a good game from Travis Hunter. I don't know that I feel super confident that he's going to have, more than 50 to 60% of the routes. I will say, though, with these injuries and with the bye coming up, like, this is kind of why you draft a dude like Travis Hunter for that post-bye rookie bump. You now have 2 weeks to game plan as much as you possibly can, 2 weeks to work with both the defense and the offense. Like, I'd imagine up to this point, he's just drinking out of a fucking fire hose, trying to keep up on both sides of the ball. So maybe after the bye, we do see him play a significant increase in snaps on both sides of the ball. So obviously, if you have Hunter, like, you know, you're excited to see what happens post bye. And if BTJ and De'Ami Brown are out and they already have Brenton Strange out, like, Travis Hunter, if those guys miss post bye, Travis Hunter is probably a top 25 receiver, if not a top 20 receiver for week 9. So, you know, you're obviously, we got a lot of time left to go because they have the bye, and we'll see what happens with BTJ. But yeah, I don't even know what to make out of this situation. The Parker Washington, like, infatuation by Liam Cohen is just, like, kind of insane to me. I mean, there was a point in the game where he had more carries than Bashal Tutin and 1 fewer carry than Travis Etienne. And I get it. He's like a cool little slot wide receiver. He's like, that was actually my comp, was like a very poor man's Deebo Samuel, him coming out of Penn State. So I get it, but, like, he cannot be a featured part of your offense when you have Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter both in your wide receiver room, you know? So, yeah, just not great. Bears and the Saints. The Bears take it down 26-14. Not much to take away from the Saints side. Chris Olave has a huge game, 598, 2 touchdowns. Juwan Johnson has a nice little breakout game, or re-breakout, 5 for 79. The big injury in this one will be Kendre Miller. It seems like it's a semi-serious injury, so we'll probably see Devin Neal take a bit of a role in this backfield. He was a 6th-round pick out of Kansas for the Saints. He's, to me, just a deeper league stash, but it does probably raise the floor of Alvin Kamara, who had been kind of in like a 50 to 60% snap role with Kendre Miller kind of emerging, and I'd imagine that's going to jump back up to like 65, 75% and solidify a floor a little bit. On the flip side, pretty disappointing day for the Bears passing game. I will say it was pretty shitty weather. It was like raining and windy most of the time, so not unexpected that they went super run heavy, and their run game is just dynamite right now. Like, the investment into their interior, their offensive line is like paying off so handsomely, and Ben Johnson's scheme is just working to perfection. As you can see, DeAndre Swift, 19 for 124 and a touchdown on the ground. So you're talking about back-to-back massive games for Swift. Kyle Monangai looked really good in this one also, 13 for 81 and a touchdown. In terms of the breakup for that backfield. I just think he likes both of them. You know, I'm hearing a lot of the comps of like the Gibbs Montgomery backfield, and I think it makes some sense because this is not, you know, this is not like Monungai's playing third downs or he's playing in passing situations or he's playing short down and distance. There will just be random times where like Swift looks really good and then Kyle Monungai just comes in for like the next 10 snaps. Like he'll play an entire series and then 3 more snaps into the next series. So ultimately, I just think Ben Johnson likes both of them a lot. Which Swift is playing great, but that is a little bit like nerve-wracking because this could turn into a hot hand situation where if Swift just like misses a pass block or misreads a couple of holes on runs or something, like maybe Kyle Monungai out-snaps him, out-carries him in a specific game, and like then it gets kind of into like Rico Dowdle, Chuba Hubbard situation. But for now, we obviously ride the hot hand with Swift. No real love for Luther Burden coming out of the bye, unfortunately. DJ Moore, 3 for 43 receiving, top receiver in that group there. Ultimately, I just think it was, I mean, their game plan was just go super fucking run heavy, and they didn't need to do much in the passing game. I do want to check out the snap counts for the running backs and the receivers. 52% for Swift. We actually saw Roschon play a couple times. It's kind of funny. Roschon gets like 1 or 2 carries a game. I feel like Ben Johnson is like, he dislikes Roschon so much that he puts him in for like 1 or 2 plays, and I feel like he just wants him to fuck up. I feel like he just so badly wants Roschon to do something wrong so that he could just like send him back to the bench. Roschon kind of just he'd be hitting the holes when he's in there, you know? Like he's not playing poorly. My grandpa's calling me. I'm gonna say, Grandpa, don't you know I'm literally talking about Roschon Johnson, fam? I got fucking things to do. So 52% in favor of Swift, 46% towards Kyle Monungai. Swift's getting more carries, running more routes, and listen, he's just the better player at this point. But, you know, Swift is scoring from, 7 yards out, 10 yards out, 12 yards out, 15 yards out. And I do wonder, in a pure normal game script, when they get inside the 2-yard line, who does get those carries? I think it'll be a 50-50 split going forward. Swift did get a few of them. They were inside the 5, and I think they went to Swift 3 consecutive carries there. So, you know, if he just gets in on one, he's the goal line back there. Kyle Monungai did get one, got him for a touchdown. So both of them obviously need to be owned there. But yeah, Monungai's definitely been a nice piece for them. Week 7, yeah, I mean, fuck. This was the concern. They love Alameda Zaccheaus, man. 93% of the routes for DJ Moore, 100% for Rome, 59% for Alameda, and then Luther Burden back to 33%. We need one of these guys to miss time. We thought it could have been DJ Moore this week, but he was fine, played the majority of snaps. In order for Burden to really get up there, we need some kind of injury. I will say there was an injury to Cole Kmet, and Colson Lovin ran 63% of the routes. So if he's available on your waiver wire, and I don't have an injury update for Cole Kmet, but if it ends up being something that causes him to miss time, I think we could see a little bit of a breakout for Colson Loveland going forward. They play at Baltimore, at Cincinnati, the New York Giants over the next 3 games. So those are 3 very pass-heavy, friendly game scripts we could see out of the Bears. And I think Loveland would be a nice little post by rookie bump candidate. Sorry, let me turn the fan on my camera. Oh, also, for those of y'all that have been watching these streams every Monday, you know I use Fantasy Life, and typically I will plug like a 20% off code for you guys to use. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are like, I'm not really that deep into research. I'll just watch Nick's videos and I don't need to like purchase a subscription on Fantasy Life. They are running a promo where you can get this subscription literally for free. You know, this is not like a fucking snake oil salesman. Hey, if you sign up for this thing, you'll get this for free. This is they have an offer that they emailed to me that you can get Fantasy Life for free for a full year just by going to it is the first link in our description. They have partnered with Comet, which is a browser by Perplexity, one of the AI apps. And literally all you have to do is download the Comet browser. It is free. You don't have to like sign up for like a Comet subscription or pay anything. This is for the next 2 weeks, basically, you can get this offer. And by doing it and going through this website flow, they're going to give you a promo code for absolutely free to get Fantasy Life for the next year. So you'll have it for the remainder of the season. You have it for the off season, the draft season, and then you'll have it 8 weeks into next year. So again, like I don't sit here and bullshit y'all and tell you things that you're fake getting for free, that you're not getting for free, whatever. This is legitimately all you got to do is download the comment browser and you will get the Fantasy Life subscription for you to look on your own whenever you want, absolutely free. So it's the first link in the notes of this video. If you go through it, the directions for it as well are on there. All right. So there's quite literally, unless you're a lazy piece of shit, there's no reason for you not to take advantage of this. So go download the Comet Perplexity browser and get Fantasy Life for free for the next year. It's a fire promo by them. Say thank you. Everyone in the chat, say thank you to me. How you doing? Move to the Browns and the Dolphins. Just one of the most disgusting games of all time. Yeah, I mean, listen, the Browns win 31-6. I don't think anyone had high expectations for either team coming into this game. It was pretty much playing out exactly how everyone imagined. No one in the passing game got home. It was going to be a Judkins day. 25 for 84, 3 touchdowns on the ground. Least surprising fucking game of all time for him. Tua was atrocious in this one. They lost Darren Waller to a pec injury. Likely going to be multi-week, if not more significant than that. Jalen Waddle also left the game. We'll have to keep an eye on that. He only went 1 for 15. But, yeah, they just had no real shots downfield. Tua was just getting intercepted every time he fucking dropped back. Guy completed 12 passes and had 3 interceptions. Quinn Ewers ended up taking over at the end of the game. I don't think they're going to make any changes in Miami. The problem is they have just too much invested into Tua at this point. So I think if they were still on like a contract year where like they were going to get into extension talks at the end of this year, then you can bench Tua right now. But I just don't think there's any purpose to that because there's nothing behind him that will be the future of this franchise because Tua's contract is just, it's like his dead cap this year is, I think it's like $55 million or something. So there's just no chance you can get rid of him, unfortunately. And I do think like his best chance of being okay towards the end of the year is with Mike McDaniel. Like Tua's not going to be able to succeed in any offense that's not Mike McDaniel at this point. So I think we're going to see the same run out. Listen, if Jalen Waddle, Darren Waller are both out, like there's really no one I want in this passing offense. Like I guess you can talk yourself into Malik Washington, but yeah, it's gross out here for both sides. Von Achane continues to like pretty much get home. Had a 46-yard run. I can't believe he got chased down. That was honestly great effort play by I believe it was new Tyson Campbell, their new cornerback from the Jaguars. Yeah, he chased him down. Once I saw Achane break that corner, I was like, hell yeah, we got a 60-yard fucking crib call to my dome. My grandpa's actually delusional. I can only see like the transcript of the voicemail he left me. He's literally like, hey, Nick, it's Poppy. I didn't mean to call you. I was trying to call Sarah. I'm like, you could just not leave me a voicemail telling me that. Could just hang up midway through the call. Shout out to you. I got to call him back, though. Great guy. Foot-long hot dog with sauerkraut. Real ones will remember. Patriots and the Titans. Drake May continues to play out of his mind. And listen, man, this is like something that I think is a good future learning moment. The Patriots were awful last year. And then coming into this year, their win total was 8.5. And I took the higher on that. Mainly because, not that I thought that they were going to be some like crazy, breakout team. I thought they improved their roster dramatically. It was year 2 of Drake May. But most importantly, when you're in the 4th place spot in your division, you get a 4th place schedule next year. So they're 5-2. And sure, they're competitive against some teams. Like, they lost to the Raiders. They beat the Dolphins. They beat the Panthers. They beat the Saints. They beat the Titans. Like, they did beat the Bills, which is obviously an impressive win, I think, right? The Falcons just washed the Bills, too. So maybe the Bills just aren't as good as we thought. But this is the type of schedule you get. Like, 4 of your 5 wins are against 4 of the worst teams in the NFL. Then they get the Browns. They get the Jets again, the Bengals, the Giants. Like, this is one of those reasons why you draft players that have this type of schedule. It's easy to overlook that in the offseason. But like every week when you have these players and you're like, sick, I get Drake May versus the fucking Titans. I get Drake May versus the Jets. Like we know this. Like we know the schedule in the preseason, and it's important to look at those things. So when teams underperform in their division, they're going to get a great schedule the following year. That's why like San Fran had a lot of good players. Obviously, a lot of injuries kind of skewed that, so it was tough to actually know who to take. But like San Fran would have been a good example of this because they randomly finished 4th place last year. They get a 4th place schedule, and now they're kind of bearing the fruit of that. So Drake May playing out of his mind still. The backfield for New England didn't get any better for Travion Henderson owners. I'll tell you that, man. It's not good. It ain't good out there for us. Yeah, I mean, 77% of the snaps for Ramondre, 13% for someone named Terrell Jennings, 14% for Travion Henderson. So I think it might just be Jehovah's Witness for Travion Henderson this year. Like, I don't want to drop him. I do not want to drop him, but you got 6 teams on bye in week 7. How can you possibly put him in your lineup? I don't know. I really don't know. When the coaching staff is going out of their way to put dudes like Terrell Jennings on the field, like, I get it. You guys were beating the shit out of him, and this is like garbage time. Let's not play our guys. But you also didn't play Travion Henderson before that. So why not let him get run at the end of the game? There's clearly something behind the scenes that, like, Vrabel and the coaching staff just do not trust with Travion Henderson. And I don't know that we'll get that insight until maybe in the offseason or something like that. If he's dealing with some weird injury, or they're just like, he's not ready, like he's just missing all the holes, or whatever the fucking case may be, it just doesn't look good. And yeah, Ramondre Stevenson, I mean, I think, listen, objectively looking at it, like when they play really good matchups and Ramondre Stevenson's a 70% snap guy, he'll have games like this. So I think you have to kind of just keep rolling him out with that in mind. And the Patriots have a great schedule going forward. So more often than not, he's going to be a nice low-end RB2 probably. Cam Ward, yeah, continues to struggle. The backfield's a fucking mess. And like we pointed out in the running back rankings video on Wednesday, the Patriots run defense is really fucking good, man. They are really, 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 really good. And they're starting to come together. You've got that interior with Milton Williams, which was like legit one of the best free agency signings of the offseason. It's very hard to run against them. So with Calvin Ridley out, we saw Shamir Dyke what's going on? We saw Shamir Dyke lead the team in receiving yards, 4 for 70 and a touchdown. Van Jeff, yeah, I mean, I don't know what to take away from this one. There's no one I really want to start in the passing game for Tennessee until they fix shit. Vegas and Kansas City, I mean, just an absolute slugfest for the Chiefs. Nothing to really talk about with the Raiders. They have their bye. Max Crosby got injured in this one. I think post bye, we should see Brock Bowers back. I don't know that I feel confident saying we should see Jacoby Myers back, because I think there's just as good of a chance that he's not in Las Vegas by the time they play in week 2 or in 2 weeks. So he very well could get moved. Could see him going to a team like Pittsburgh, maybe. Where else could he go? Maybe Buffalo. They tried it with Cooper last year. Maybe, maybe Denver. Yeah, I think there's just as good of a chance we see Jacoby Myers suit up for the Raiders in 2 weeks as we do him suit up for another team. So not great. The Chiefs, I mean, I haven't checked the Super Bowl odds this morning, but I can't imagine they are not the favorites. Like, this is what we remember the Chiefs to be. Now that they're at full strength, Rashee Rice's first game back, like, holy shit. 7 for 42, 2 touchdowns, had another one called back on the goal line, 10 targets. The guy played on like 17 plays and saw 10 targets. This is what you waited for on Rashee Rice. This is what you drafted him for. If we look at the target per route run rate, it's probably going to lead the NFL this week, I'd imagine, unless there's a guy who ran like 2 routes. And yeah, I mean, 47% target per route run rate. This is what we're going to get. A dot of 2 yards. My goodness. Yeah, I mean, his route run rate is just going to continue to skyrocket. They didn't need him, obviously, over the second half. So this was like the perfect introduction to get him up to speed, to get his legs under him, to also feed him, to also get the dub. They play Washington next week, likely without Jaden Daniels. So that's another plus matchup. Then they get Buffalo, should be high scoring. Like, Rashee Rice is going to be hard pressed not to have him as a top 6-5 fantasy wide receiver going forward rest of the season. Let's look at the entire NFL. Yeah, I mean, 5% of the routes, Jamar Chase. Yeah, so it was basically Jamar Chase and Rashee Rice. Like, my goodness. Yeah, the Chiefs are fucking terrifying right now. Um, yeah, and I mean, like, listen, this is what's going to happen to the rest of the offense once Rashee Rice is back to being the guy. It's pretty hard to trust everybody else in the passing game. Like, they'll have decent games. Travis Kelce, 3 for 54, but only saw 3 targets in this one. Tyquan Thornton, 2 targets. Juju, 3 targets. Xavier Worthy, 4 targets. So pretty hard to trust almost everybody else besides Rashee Rice. I would still very much rank it Rashee, Xavier Worthy. Then you get the point. Mahomes, quarterback 1 on the year right now in fantasy. Isaiah Pacheco, 15 for 57, does get into the end zone. Don't really know what to make of the backfield right now. Like, it feels like it's Pacheco, but then next week it could be Hunt getting goal line carries. Hunt did leave the game for a second with an ankle injury, I believe. So something to monitor. He only played 70% of the snaps. So I do think it'll be still a little bit more, 50-50. Brashard Smith saw a huge uptick in touches because the entire second half was garbage time. So it was all him. This was our game, man. I took him as an anytime touchdown scorer in this one. He had like 10 plays drawn up for him inside the 10-yard line, just couldn't get home. So I guess we got to move off the dream. Eagles, Vikings. Eagles took it home 28-22. Jalen Hurts, 326, 3 touchdowns. Devontae Smith had a career game. A.J. Brown, only 6 targets, but made the most of them, obviously. 4 for 121 and 2 touchdowns. Also, like, slid at the end of the game. Could have had 3 touchdowns, but good to see both of them get home. Saquon continues to struggle behind the lack of push from their run blocking line. I think, listen, if you got Saquon, it just happens to be a disappointing pick, but you just have to continue rolling him out, unfortunately, unless someone wants to buy low on him right now. But they do get the Giants, then a bye, Green Bay, Detroit, Dallas, Chicago. I mean, their playoff schedule is still great. Like, the last 6 weeks, they get Dallas, Chicago, the Chargers, who are much better against the pass, but can absolutely run all over them, the Raiders, Washington, Buffalo. So that's almost like 6 great matchups in a row. So I do expect Saquon to finish strong, despite how they're playing right now. On the flip side, Wentz was connecting with Addison on every fucking level. 9 for 128. Jefferson, 5 for 79. Jefferson got so many targets downfield, but just none of them were catchable, unfortunately. His air yards have to be off the fucking screen right now. Let me see. Only 29%, huh? Still 130 air yards in this one. Addison, 194. That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, the catchable target rate was just pretty bad for Jefferson. Only 50% of his targets were deemed catchable, but Addison just kind of got lucky there, and 75% of his were catchable. In terms of J.J. McCarthy, they play on Thursday night. I am expecting another Carson Wentz start because it's a short week. I think they likely roll out Carson Wentz again for Thursday Night Football against the Chargers, and then they play at Detroit in Week 9. I think J.J. probably makes his return at Detroit, which, yeah, I don't imagine it's an upgrade for the pass catchers at this moment. Jordan Mason, decent day, does save it with a touchdown, 15 for 57 on the ground, and touchdown, does not catch any passes in this one. Aaron Jones, I believe, should be eligible to return next week, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just pull that up right quick. I haven't really heard anything about him. I haven't heard any updates about, like, him trending towards a flawless return. So he left week 2, got put on the IR. So week 3, let's see. They played week 3. They played week 4. Played week 5. They had a bye week 6. So that's 4 games. So he's been out for 4 games. So he would be eligible to return from the IR next week. His return, the way I'm looking at that is, like, I'm less optimistic about Aaron Jones being like a fantasy impact player for you. And I think it's less like good for him and more probably a downgrade for Jordan Mason. Like, I think Aaron Jones will probably work his way back into, and it might take a minute to ramp up, coming off a multi-week hamstring strain. I would say, I still think Mason's probably the guy in the backfield. It's probably like a 60-40 split, which hasn't been like great unless they have a really good matchup. Mason's kind of struggled when they don't have gimme matchups. So Panthers Jets, arguably like just the worst game of all time. We almost went to this game actually. We easily would have left after the first fucking quarter. Bryce Young, nothing going through the air. They didn't really have to. They threw 32 times, 36 rushes, however. So very, very skewed towards the run game here. Bryce Young tweaked his ankle towards the end of the game, though. So I do not think it's a guarantee he plays next week, which would mean Andy Dalton comes in and plays. And I actually think that's kind of an upgrade for Tet McMillan. But one of my big concerns coming into this week with Tet McMillan, we got a lot of Sisar questions about him, is the fact that Sauce Gardner is shadowing everyone's top receiver, if they have that, and it has left the secondary receiver open over and over and over again. And we saw that just so happened to be Xavier Legette as the number 2 receiver here. But like I said, Sauce is a very good cover corner still, despite all the narratives around him. And if your number 1 is going against him, they may struggle. Now, they play Cincinnati next week, and Jamar Chase just makes a fool out of everyone, so I'm not overly concerned about that matchup, but just something to note as they do progress down the line of their schedule. Backfield, big takeaway here. Rico and Chuba quite literally just split series. It wasn't third down situations. It wasn't long down and distance. It wasn't short down. There was no rhyme or reason for a specific back being out there other than first series is Chuba, second is Rico, third is Chuba, fourth is Rico. It was quite literally just a series by series by series. I don't know what the snaps ended up being. It was just a matter of if you happen to have been on the drive that was a long drive, you got in there. Okay, so Chuba, what is this fucking picture? Chuba outsnapped him 54-46, but Rico had more rush attempts. Chuba ran more routes. It was, again, just a matter of like who happened to be on the field for specific plays. That being said, Rico was obviously a lot more efficient. As you could see, Rico got 18 touches, 98 or 96 total yards, 4.6 yards per carry. Chuba, 2.2 yards per carry. Again, I'm not going to sit here and be like, Rico's so much, but I think he looks a lot better, and I think he's a better fit for the scheme right now, and he's a little more powerful and gives him a little more juice. That being said, it's such a small sample size. I just think it's a matter of like who got the lucky run blocking progression on that play, right? Like some of the blocking was probably better for Rico than it was for Chuba. So this is a pretty volatile situation going forward. If I had to choose who I'd rather own 1-for-1 going forward, it would be Rico, but I don't feel confident in that. It's more of like 57%. I like Rico, 43% towards Chuba. I think this is just going to be a hot hand approach going forward. The coaching staff and the team loves Chuba, so I think they're both likely going to be ranked. Their schedule has to get tougher going forward. They play Buffalo, and Buffalo kind of sucks on the defensive side of things, to be honest. Green Bay, New Orleans, Atlanta, San Fran, Rams. So like a mix of good and bad defenses. They play Buffalo next week. They do have 6 teams on bye. So if I'm projecting where I'm going to have both of them ranked, it's probably like he probably sneaks into the top 24. And I think Chuba's probably around like RB 28 to 30, but I don't feel like overly confident in either of them going forward, especially when they're not playing good matchups. On the flip side, Justin Fields gets benched in favor of Tyrod. Tyrod throws 2 picks. He underthrew like 4 deep balls that could have been easy gimme touchdowns. I mean, they were, at this point, whatever the opposite of playing with house money is, that's what they were doing right now, because you don't have Garrett Wilson. You got nothing going in the wide receiver room. One takeaway here, I don't know who's going to be the starter going forward for the New York Jets. They play against Cincinnati next week. The backfield, Breece Hall tweaked some shit and then did play in the second half. But I would say it's something to monitor. If you're a Breece Hall owner, despite him returning, keep a close eye on this, because we do see this a lot where guys return after they like tweak their ankle or some foot injury, and they play through it because of just adrenaline and game time, energy, and et cetera, and then things swell up afterwards. Could be the case for Breece Hall. So just keep an eye on Isaiah Davis. Keep an eye on Breece Hall and those injury reports. So there might be something there. Broncos and Giants, the most ridiculous game of all time. The Broncos score 33 points in the fourth quarter. Bo Nix has both 2 passing touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns in the fourth quarter. First quarterback in history to do that. Jackson Dart has a good game, 283, 3 touchdowns. Terrible interception in the fourth quarter that, kind of caught. There's a lot of things that cost him the game. But, statistically, from a fantasy standpoint, I mean, he continues to be awesome. And if you started him yesterday, you got a shitload of points from him. So Jackson Dart is awesome. This Giants team, fun to watch. Cam Scatabo, 16 for 60, also gets home through the air. So 94 more total yards, 19 more touchdowns, 19 more touches, and a touchdown. Tyrone Tracy did play a little bit more in this one. He has the 31-yard scamper for a touchdown, just completely untouched there. But it's very clearly Cam Scatabo's backfield, especially in these matchups where you got to impose your will against Denver's defense. So I don't know, not much else to take away. Daniel Bellinger had a nice touchdown catch towards the deep shot on the field, more of like a broken coverage play there. Theo Johnson had some broken coverage plays as well. So I don't know. I don't think there's a lot of confidence to be had in any of these pass catchers really, besides Wan'Dale Robinson for the Giants. For the Broncos, Dobbins continues to dominate the backfield. Courtland Sutton continues to dominate through the air. Sure, Marvin Mims had a game, but I'm sure next week he won't have a game. So, Colts Chargers. The Colts just dominated this game, and it forced Justin Herbert and the Chargers to throw the ball 55 times. So we projected Kamani Vidal to have a much tougher time running the ball against the Colts than he did against the Dolphins. Obviously, the Dolphins just let up anything on the ground, so he came back down to earth. But he did, obviously outtouch Hassan Haskins dramatically here. So still good to see him own the backfield. They play the Minnesota Vikings next week, so not an easy matchup, but I still think he's a borderline top 25 guy that you can have in your lineup for show. Daniel Jones continues to play lights out. Jonathan Taylor continues to kind of pace the Offensive Player of the Year award category right now. With no Josh Downs, we saw Alec Pierce have a really big day, 10 targets, 5 for 98, connects downfield. Tyler Warren continues to be an elite tight end in fantasy. Michael Pittman, very expected, good game with Josh Downs out. He just dominates over the middle of the field when he is the slot option. So love to see that from Pittman. We'll see if Downs returns. Indy plays the Tennessee Titans next week. So Jonathan Taylor should have close to 5,000 fantasy points in that one. So good shit for the Colts, man. This was like their first test, it felt like. This was the first like real quarterback and team that they played. And just dismantled the Chargers in this one. Just had their way with them. Obviously, Herbert got home statistically. I think a lot of these stats are going to look way better on paper and in the box score, of course. Whenever your quarterback throws 55 times, like Oronde Gadsden obviously needs to be talked about. 9 targets, 7 catches, 164 yards, and a touchdown. This was a stat that I heard from, was it Josh Norris or was it from the Athletic podcast? I can't remember. This was the third highest receiving total game all time NFL history for a rookie tight end. The other two were like Mike Ditka and some other player in the 60s. So in the relevant times, this was like the best receiving game from a rookie tight end pretty much ever. 9 targets on 55 dropbacks. Not a very high target share, but he is obviously really involved in the offense. And when they need to throw the ball, he is running a significant portion of routes over the Will Disleys and the was it Tyler Conklin, I think, on their team now, who's banged up and not playing and just not really used when he is. So let's see. Yeah, 77% of the routes. And he's a very athletic playmaker. He was a receiving tight end in college at Syracuse. So he needs to be owned at this point when he has ceiling games like this. There are very few fantasy tight ends that do, but I would temper expectations. Keenan Allen, 14 targets. Ladd McConkey, 15. Quentin Johnson saved his day, 6 targets, 2 catches, 30 yards, did score a touchdown. I think it's just the way the targets fell, and he was coming back from a hamstring injury, so maybe that hampered him a little bit. But big game all around for all the receiving options here. Again, one thing to just take note of, 55 pass attempts. Cowboys, Commanders. Cowboys just fucking laid it on him. Dak, 264, 3 touchdowns. This is like the 4th straight game with 3 or more touchdowns and no interceptions. Crazy game from him. Javonte, huge game. CeeDee Lamb returns 5 for 110 and a touchdown. Kind of breaks free on a 74-yard touchdown here. And I'm not going to say it was a broken coverage play. It was a great play downfield, and then the 2 defenders kind of ran into each other, so he was able to take it the rest of the way for a touchdown. But yeah, I mean, CeeDee Lamb's clearly back at full strength, which is a high-end wide receiver 1 for your fantasy teams. 100% of the routes. Great to see. They were not holding him back in this one. Pickens, again, 97% of the routes here. Pickens had a good game, but not great game for fantasy. 4 for 82. Also got a DPI call very far downfield. I think I'm going to make a big push. As someone who has owned George Pickens in each of the last 2 seasons in your idiot league mates, I'm going to make a big push for DPI yards to count. Because this shit just pisses me off. But yeah, Jake Ferguson, 7 for 29. Not a great yardage day, but 2 touchdowns. So he just continues to roll as the tight end 1 in fantasy right now. On the flip side, the big news is obviously, Washington, there's just nothing they could do. The injuries, no Terry in this one, no Debo in this one, Noah Brown still out. And then obviously Jaden Daniels suffers what seems to be a hamstring strain. First week back, or actually, sorry, not first week back, but feels like it's the first week back really for him. And now he's just back to missing games again. Don't know the severity of it. I would imagine it's probably going to be a multi-week injury. They do not have their bye until week 12. They play at Kansas City, Seattle, Detroit, then at Miami. So Marcus Mariota is likely going to fill in. If you're in a super flex league, kind of gives you an option at QB2, I suppose. But yeah, it's gross here. And Ja'Cory Crosby-Moret been pretty damn disappointing. Unfortunately, he was kind of like given the role, and he should have had back-to-back massive games, especially just looking at the matchups. Like Dallas's run defense has been as bad as any team in the NFL. Didn't work. So disappointing day from him, unfortunately. Yeah, just disappointing for Washington overall. Like even if Terry and Debo were back next week with Marcus Mariota at the helm, it's hard to be overly optimistic against the just red-hot Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs. They're fucking rolling out Robbie Anderson. Who even knew Robbie Anderson was playing in the NFL still? Guy's out there catching 4 to 5 passes. What the hell? What else we got going on here? Green Bay at Arizona. Yeah, Green Bay really had no business winning this game. Micah Parsons pretty much single-handedly willed them to a victory with his 3 sacks. Jordan Love had an all right day. Jacobs, 13 for 55, 2 touchdowns. So he's just a goal line monster at this point. Tucker Kraft is awesome. Romeo Doubs, number 1 receiver out there as per usual. Golden, relatively disappointing day. Despite the really hot start, he had like 3 or 4 catches really early on. They keep like scheming for him early on and then just like lose interest in throwing him the ball. But, whatever. This is the Green Bay Packers, run the ball through Josh Jacobs. He came into the game with the calf strain, in danger of missing. And then I saw a video surface of him like as a game time decision as he was like testing his calf in warmups, and I'm like, this wasn't like no slow-mo, like, oh, let's see if he can like run at half speed in shorts. He was like sprinting full speed, and I was like, okay, he looks great. He'll be fine. As for the Cardinals, to me, it's just so fucking clear that Trey McBride has had a Kyler Murray problem. Kyler Murray is just so bad in the red zone. As soon as any other quarterback takes over, Trey McBride becomes a touchdown monster. 10 catches, 74 yards, 2 more touchdowns in this one, 13 targets. Brissett loves Trey McBride as any good passing quarterback should. I expect Kyler Murray to be back at their quarterback after the bye. So they have the Week 8 bye. They play at Dallas right after that, and I expect Kyler Murray to be under center, unfortunately, for Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison Jr. owners. In the backfield, Bam Knight took back over again, 14 for 57 on the ground. Michael Carter, 7 for 11. But Michael Carter did have 2 catches for 25 yards. Let's look at the snap counts here between the backfield. 48% of the snaps for Zonovan Knight, 36% for Michael Carter. Dearness Johnstein filling in a little bit, 17% playing the obvious long down and distance role there. Did not really see that one coming, but now we have an even messier backfield. I will say, I feel okay. I think Zonovan Knight's like a decent flex play in good matchups. Like against Dallas, I think you could probably find worse players to throw into your lineup because he's going to be the goal line guy. So there's a good chance he gets 15 touches plus a goal line carry. But against Green Bay, when you're not really like down there and not getting 1-yard carries from the 1-yard line, going to be a problem. And by the way, just, for the new guys that have come into the stream in the last 10 or 15 minutes, just want to throw this offer out there one more time for you guys. Fantasy Life is giving away a year-long subscription to their service, fucking free. If you download the Comet browser by Perplexity, the link will be the first one in the show notes. You don't have to pay for anything. You don't got to enter a credit card. You don't have to buy a Comet subscription. It is literally free for you for the next year. This will expire in the next 14 days. You literally just have to download the Comet browser, which again is free. On that page, you will be guided through the instructions. So you're not paying anything, but you're getting $100 value absolutely free. Again, no, you don't actually have to pay for anything. So go through this and you will get it for free. And I'm the GOAT for that. Appreciate Fantasy Life. First link in the show notes. Last game of the evening. Yeah, Falcons 49ers. Not great for us. 49ers 20-10. Pretty shitty day from Mac Jones. Pretty fucking amazing day. I mean, it's the big 2025, and we're letting Christian McCaffrey run for $129 on us. I mean, C-Mac's obviously like the steal of the fantasy drafts for people that took him. 200 total yards, 2 touchdowns, 31 more touches. I mean, week 8, the Niners play the Houston Texans. They're in Houston. George Kittle's first game back, didn't catch a single pass. I think he played on every snap, but it just didn't go his way, unless I'm making that up. All right, ran 86% of the routes. Mac Jones just has a fetish for Christian McCaffrey, and I mean, not Kendrick Bourne. He kind of had a disappointing day. He's gonna fall back into a role player. I would assume in week 8 we will see Purdy and Ricky Pearsall back in the lineup, which makes things pretty fucking messy. So if they're at full strength, it's Purdy, it's Kittle, it's Juwan, it's Ricky Pearsall, it's Christian McCaffrey. Obviously, McCaffrey's a must start. I mean, we know who George Kittle is, so he's a must start moving forward, despite the bad game here. On the flip side, Penix, like, God, I want to believe in him so bad, but it's so easy to flip flop on him. He looks good sometimes, but it does feel like when plays break down, he's like, if things don't go according to plan immediately, he kind of like flails under pressure, which we hate to see. Bijan, bad game through with his legs, but again gets home through the air, 6 for 52 and another touchdown. So you're looking at 20 total touches, 92 total yards, and a touchdown. Drake London, disappointing day. London is so awesome, but he's also so awesome when Darnell Mooney's not playing. And when Darnell Mooney is playing, London tends to come back down to earth. So that's obviously something to be noted. They play the Miami Dolphins next week. So that is a beautiful get-right game. Bijan might have 472 rushing yards in that one. So we'll have a bounce back for Atlanta, hopefully. And yeah, that's it. All right. Well, that is all of the week 7 games. As always, we will have the waiver wire video up for you guys tomorrow afternoon. We will have running back rankings Wednesday, wide receiver rankings on Thursday. If y'all are new here, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the button that looks like this. And of course, again, the link to get the free Fantasy Life Plus subscription for a year through the end of the year into draft season through 7 weeks of next year down below. First link in the show notes. Yeah, love y'all. And I will see you tomorrow. Smoochies.